Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing you only have 24 hours left to live. How would you feel? Panic? Regret? Or peace? This is not just a thought experiment. It's a reality that comes for us all. Yet most of us avoid thinking about it. Most of us go about our daily lives distracted by work, relationships, and responsibilities, rarely stopping to think about the inevitable truth we all share. Death. It's uncomfortable. It's something we avoid. But here's the paradox. Studies show that those who contemplate their mortality tend to report a deeper sense of happiness and fulfillment. Why? A few years ago, I sat beside a loved one in their final moments. Instead of fear, their last words were simple: "Thank you." That moment changed me forever. It made me realize that the way we approach death shapes how we live. In today's video, we'll explore why some people face death with peace, while others experience sheer panic. We'll dive into psychology, ancient wisdom, and powerful real-life stories. By the end, you'll have practical tools to shift your perspective and turn fear into clarity. Let's start with a question. Have you ever felt anxiety when thinking about death? Drop a comment if you have ever felt this way. You're not alone. The two faces of death: contentment versus panic. Death can be met with either acceptance or terror. But what determines the difference? It's not just about circumstances, it's about mindset. Contentment and panic aren't just emotions, they're choices, and the battlefield is in your brain. Steve Jobs, one of the greatest innovators of our time, left this world with the words, "Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow." His sister described his last moments as filled with awe, not fear. Why? Because he had spent years living intentionally, asking himself every morning, if today were my last, would I be doing what I'm about to do? Contrast that with Ivan Ilyich, the protagonist in Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich. His final moments were filled with terror as he screamed, "I don't want to die." Psychologists call this the unlived life syndrome, a fear rooted in regret, in the realization that life was not fully embraced. A 2019 study from Johns Hopkins University found that people with a sense of life satisfaction are 60% more likely to face death calmly. It's not about eliminating fear, it's about outgrowing it. Here's a challenge. If you knew today was the beginning of your last year on Earth, what would you change immediately? The clock is ticking. What's stopping you from living that way now? Hold on to that thought. Cultural and philosophical perspective. Different cultures approach death in vastly different ways. Let's take a look at a few perspectives that might just change the way you see mortality. In Buddhism, Tibetan monks practice something called corpse meditation. They sit beside decaying bodies, contemplating the impermanence of life. It sounds extreme, but it helps them embrace death as a natural part of existence, rather than something to be feared. In Western existentialism, philosopher Albert Camus said, "There's no sun without shadow." He believed that embracing life's absurdity makes death less intimidating. In other words, the meaning of life is what we create for ourselves. In Mexico's Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, death is seen as a reunion, not an ending. Families celebrate their ancestors with food, laughter, and storytelling. Instead of sorrow, there's gratitude and connection. Which of these perspectives resonates with you? Let me know in the comments by mentioning your preferred philosophy. Maria, a hospice nurse with over 20 years of experience, shares that the most peaceful deaths belong to those who said, I love you more than I wish. The people who left no words unspoken, no forgiveness withheld, no dreams ignored. The ones who embraced life fully. Then there's Sarah, who was diagnosed with terminal cancer at just 34. At first, she spiraled into panic. But then she discovered an ancient Stoic practice, journaling letters to her future self, even 10 years beyond her death. It gave her a sense of control, of legacy. Her fear lessened. Instead of dreading the unknown, she became curious. Imagine writing a letter to someone you'll never meet, but who will one day read your words. What would you say? How to cultivate contentment. Here are 3 powerful tools you can start using today to shift your perspective on death and ultimately life. The 5-minute mortality meditation. Close your eyes. Breathe. Imagine looking back at your life. What moments would you treasure the most? What legacy would you leave behind? This simple practice reframes your mindset, making you more present in daily life. Legacy building. Write a letter to your great-grandchild. Plant a tree. Share your knowledge and passion. Leaving behind something meaningful helps anchor us in purpose rather than fear. Gratitude. Jailbreak. When fear creeps in, list 3 things you'd miss if you were gone tomorrow. Family, a favorite song, the warmth of the sun. These reminders ground you in the beauty of life. Which of these will you try this week? Type him in the comments if you're ready to take action. Addressing fear and panic. The top fears around death often sound like this. Will it hurt? Did my life matter? I'll burden my family. What if nothing comes after? There are ways to face these fears head on. Death cafes offer open, judgment-free spaces to talk about mortality. Creating a panic kit, a playlist, a comforting poem, a meaningful photo can anchor you when fear strikes. And here's a practical tip. Teach your family to cook now so they won't starve later. A little dark humor, but also a reminder that preparation eases anxiety. Contentment or panic? The choice isn't in this video. It's in what you do next. This week, do one thing that the future you will thank you for. Then, come back and tell me what it was. Steve Jobs once said, "Death is the destination we all share. But the journey, that's yours to design." Drop a comment if you choose contentment. And go live like today's the beginning of your story.